Tonight, Inspector General of Police Mohammed Adamu accuses state governments of not supporting federal government's efforts in addressing security challenges across the country. Nigeria's healthcare sector receives a major boost with the launch of an $890 million grant for the next 3 years to tackle HIV, malaria and tuberculosis. Presidency says 6 Super Tucano aircrafts are being expected in the country in July to support military efforts at tackling insurgency in the country. And European Medicine Agency says AstraZeneca vaccine is safe and efficient after 13 European countries suspended the vaccines over fear of blood clot. Plus business, sports, news from Abuja, and later from our international studios in London.
On business news tonight, Debt Management Office lists over 160 billion naira 7-year Islamic bond on the Nigerian Stock Exchange to help finance key economic road projects in the country.
On sports news tonight, the All England club announces Wimbledon's famous queue will not operate at this year's championships because of COVID-19 measures.
And from Abuja, 2 separate court orders on the Imo North senatorial seat at the Federal High Court in Abuja ask INEC to issue Senator Ifeanyi Ararume a certificate of return, while another High Court in Imo says INEC should do no such thing.
As the country battles to tackle the series of security challenges confronting it, the nation's police chief, Mohammed Adamu, is accusing state governments of not providing the necessary support in tackling the menace. Mr. Adamu expressed this feeling today in Abuja at a meeting between the Secretary to the Government of the Federation and Secretaries of the state governments. The IGP notes that the federal government has developed strategies to deal with some of the security issues like kidnapping and banditry, and the support of the state government will go a long way towards achieving the desired results.
At federal level, we've developed a lot of strategies towards mitigating these issues, but we don't get the maximum cooperation that we're supposed to get from the state, at the state level. And we believe the secretaries of the state governments should be conscious of security in their state, because when they are able to galvanize all the stakeholders and different structures that are there that can enhance the security of their state, will have relative peace in terms of insecurity. Because if the secretaries of the state governments are not coordinating activities within the state in this area, I don't think there's anybody that can do.
Meanwhile, the representatives of the state governments bluntly rejected the accusation from the IGP, in turn accusing the police of not responding on time to crime alerts. They insist there is a trust deficit between the police, the government, and the people.
Even the whole of that local government, of Rafi local government, had only 86 policemen. 86. And these bandits came in hundreds, with well-sophisticated arms. So communities just, became helpless. And this is the challenge that we have. 60% of our communities are not policed. Even where you have, a semblance of presence of police, they are not, well armed. In fact, it's even suicidal to have some police stations where they are currently located, based on the activities of bandits that we have seen. In fact, at some point in my state, we have just quietly advised that all those police stations should be closed, because they will overrun the police stations, cut away their arms, and of course, at the end of the day, some of the policemen, lost their lives. I know that the architecture needs to be well invigorated. Believe me, it is easier to look at the situation that we have. Niger State, for instance, has 86,000 square kilometers. before security agencies move from one community to another to respond. Sometimes it will take them 3-4 hours.
Meanwhile, the Joint Council of the Anglican Bishops in the Southeast has called on all the Southeast governors to quickly mobilize and establish a security outfit that will guarantee security of lives and property of people in the zone. This was disclosed by the Bishop of Enugu, Archbishop Emmanuel Chukwuma, in Owerri, the Imo State capital, when he led the council on a courtesy visit to the governor of Imo State, Hope Uzodimma, at Government House. Archbishop Chukwuma explained that the call became necessary because the people of the Southeast can no longer trust the present security architecture in the country because it has failed the people.
To call the attention of him to mobilize all the governors in the Southeast to make sure that there's a security outfit quickly mobilized for security of people in the Southeast. We need our own because we can no more trust the present security. They have failed. So we need our security outfit that will be able to understand, they know the ground, they know how to tackle the ground, and then face the whole thing thoroughly. So because as I'm concerned, if we continue to trust in the police and we don't have our own security outfit, then we're in danger. So they think that it is necessary that we have our own security outfit to make sure that at least we'll be able to police ourselves, save ourselves, and secure ourselves.
Meanwhile, Governor Hope Uzodimma has admitted that government alone cannot handle security or insecurity, so a complementary role by citizens to support the government in tackling insecurity is in line with global best practices.
Government alone cannot handle security. So when he is calling off the complementary role of the citizens, it's consistent with the global best practice. So I think what we will do here as governors is to really man our different states, man our zones, support what the federal government is doing so that there will be security that will guarantee the lives and properties of our people, which is the primary purpose of every government.
In another development, the presidency says 6 of the 12 Super Tucano fighter aircrafts earlier ordered by the federal government will arrive in the country by July 2021. Presidential spokesman Garba Shehu announced this on his Twitter handle today, saying 6 of the 12 Super Tucanos are on track to arrive in mid-July 2021, while the remaining 6 will arrive shortly after. According to him, the Super Tucanos came off the production line in Jacksonville, Florida, and are now being equipped and flight tested. Nigerian pilots and maintenance personnel are training on these planes. Currently, the construction is ongoing, which will house the aircraft. The Air-Ground Integration School is the training hub on targeting and minimization of civilian casualties. The federal government had in February 2018 placed an order for 12 Super Tucano aircrafts at a cost of $496 million. But the president is demanding a periodic performance report from the Minister of Health for the Global Fund's $890 million support to Nigeria to combat HIV/AIDS, tuberculosis, and malaria. The support is expected to run for the next 3 years, terminating in 2023. President Muhammadu Buhari, who was speaking at the launch of the fund in the State House, asked the Health Minister to set up an accountability mechanism to ensure that the fund is not abused. Our correspondent, Gloria Omezuke, reports.
President Muhammadu Buhari is accelerating moves to put an end to the prevalence of HIV and AIDS, tuberculosis, and malaria in the country. Acknowledging a generous contribution of $890 million health grant from the Global Fund during a virtual launch at the State House, President Muhammadu Buhari immediately orders transparent management of the fund to tackle these deadly diseases between 2021 to 2023.
Let me also emphasize here that this administration has zero tolerance for corruption and inefficient use of resources. In this regard, I hereby direct the Minister of Health to set up an accountability framework to monitor the use of this fund and provide periodic performance report to my office.
In January 2021, Nigeria has also contributed $12 million towards the Global Fund to crystallize commitment and advance investment in the nation's health sector.
It is my wish that in the next 3 years, these 3 diseases are taken much further down the path of elimination.
Nigeria has so far signed 8 grants towards the tripartite issues of HIV and AIDS, tuberculosis, and malaria.
2 of the grants are for HIV management and amount to $310 United States dollars to be administered by 2 principal recipients: the National Agency for the Control of AIDS, NACA, and the Family Health International. 180 million United States dollars of the 310 million was earmarked for procurement of antiretroviral medicines, which would maintain 1.4 million Nigerians living with HIV on life-saving antiretroviral treatment.
We are rapidly closing the gap to reach epidemic control by 2022 for HIV. After we succeed in controlling this disease, we'll be counting on the national alignment and the community-led monitoring to ensure the sustainability of the HIV program in Nigeria.
The President is assuring donor agencies and development partners that the funds will be judiciously utilized as the federal government commits to attaining the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. From the Presidential Villa, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
The European Medicines Agency has concluded that the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine is safe and effective. As comes out of 13 European countries suspended its use over fears of a link to blood clots. The agency's investigation focused on a small number of cases of unusual blood disorders. In particular, it was looking at cases of cerebral venous thrombosis, blood clots in the head.
And the evidence we have is at the moment not sufficient to conclude with certainty whether these adverse events are indeed caused by the vaccine or not. So PRAC will continue to gather more information on these conditions, including additional studies, and PRAC will keep them under very close monitoring.
Meanwhile, the Executive Director of the National Primary Health Care Development Agency, Dr. Faisal Shuaibu, says all states in Nigeria have received shipments of the AstraZeneca vaccine, except Kogi State. Speaking after the virtual National Economic Council meeting in Abuja, Dr. Shuaib explains that Kogi State has not received any dose of the vaccine due to the non-repair of its cold chain store, coupled with the state's concerns around the contradictory information about the vaccine. He adds that the vaccination application has been launched in most states' treatment centers against distractions and criticism of the federal government's efforts to ensure availability of vaccines in the nation. Now, former Vice President Abubakar Atiku Abubakar, is querying the plan by the federal government to spend $1.5 billion for the rehabilitation of the Port Harcourt refinery. At the end of the Federal Executive Council meeting yesterday, the Minister of State for Petroleum announced the government's plan, explaining that the repair work would be undertaken in phases for a total of 44 months. But in a statement today, the former Vice President describes the proposal as a waste of resources, especially coming at a time that the nation's economy is in dire straits. According to him, to therefore budget the sum of $1.5 billion to renovate or turn around the Port Harcourt refinery would appear to be an unwise use of scarce funds at this critical juncture for a multiplicity of reasons. He suggested the best course of action will be to privatize the refineries for more effective and efficient management. In a comparative analysis, Mr. Atiku describes the planned rehabilitation as too expensive, saying Shell Petroleum Development Company sold a refinery or similar size in the U.S. last year for $1.2 billion. In the words of the vice president, or the former vice president, we cannot as a nation expect to make economic progress if we continue to fund inefficiency, and we're going too deep into the debt trap for unnecessarily overpriced projects. He noted the country's debt, which has spiked from 12 trillion naira in 2015 to 32.9 trillion naira today, is shocking enough to cause the nation to be more prudent in the way it borrows. And in part two, after the break, Kwara State government orders staff of all 10 schools affected in the hijab controversy to resume on Friday or face disciplinary actions. Join us again. Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Inspector General of Police Mohammed Adamu accuses state governments of not supporting federal government's efforts in addressing security challenges across the country. Nigeria's healthcare sector receives a major boost with the launch of an $890 million grant for the next 3 years to tackle HIV, malaria, and tuberculosis. Presidency says 6 Super Tucano aircraft are being expected in the country in July to support military efforts at tackling insurgency in the country. And the European Medicines Agency says AstraZeneca vaccine is safe and efficient after 13 European countries suspended the vaccine over fears of blood clots. Some of the leaders of the ruling All Progressives Congress say they are confident that the party will retain power at the center in 2023. One of them is the governor of Katsina State, Aminu Masari. Governor Masari told our political correspondent, Seun Wakimaloye, that the APC has delivered on its promises and has a bright future ahead of the 2023 election. The governor also gave his view on the zoning of presidency in that year.
APC has a bright future in Nigeria, a future better than the opposition parties. Look, we are marketing APC and people are coming out to register as members of APC. Yesterday we had 20, today we have 60. Is it a show of confidence or lack of it? Yes, we have problem with elites like you. But no government, no political party since the independence of Nigeria has brought about social interventions like APC government. APC is really working, and we are very, very sure that APC will not fear election of 2023. And with regards to zoning, fair is fair.
And what is fair, Your Excellency?
But if you ask me, I will, as a person, Aminu, think we should move the presidency to the southern part of the country.
Which part of the south?
South is south.
Following yesterday's clash over the wearing of hijab in some schools in Ilorin, the Kwara State capital, a government has directed the principals, teachers and staff of 10 schools recently shut down over the matter to report at their respective schools tomorrow. In a statement, the government explains that the resumption becomes necessary in order to prepare the final year students for their external examinations. The government warns that any staff that fails to report to duty will face the full wrath of the law, as it will not condone any act of insubordination. It also warns stakeholders against taking laws into their hands, stressing that peace meetings will continue between the government and stakeholders. The government says it regrets the inconveniences a shutdown might have caused students, saying the action was taken in the interest of peace. Gloria Mizoke is standing by in Abuja for more on the news at 10. Hi, Gloria.
Hello, Amarachi. Welcome to Abuja. We begin with the judiciary, where 2 court judgments today emerged in the tussle over the Imo North senatorial seat. The first came from the Federal High Court, which gave the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, 72 hours to issue a certificate of return to Senator Ifeanyi Abarume as the winner of the Imo North by-election held on December the 5th, 2020. In the judgment, Justice Taiwo held that Senator Ararume, who won the primary election and was prevented from participating in the by-election as the candidate of the APC, is the winner of the election, since INEC declared APC as the winner of the poll. According to him, with regard to the appeal court judgment in Abuja, the third defendant, Chukwuma Ibezim, remained disqualified.
This matter has come to an end today, and we also want to thank the court for that painstaking decision, because from the judgment just delivered now, everybody will agree with us that the judgment was well researched. His lordship, dealt with the issues, all the issues canvassed by parties, and came to a conclusion that our client is the rightful candidate that ought to be given. And court has indeed ordered that it should be issued certificate of return within 72 hours. So it's a thing of joy for us.
But hours after the Federal High Court judgment, an Owerri High Court issued a counter order. Justice Eugene Agada of the State High Court granted an order of interim injunction restraining INEC from recognizing Senator Ararume as the Imo North senatorial candidate of the All Progressives Congress and issuing him certificate of return or any other instrument in his favor in respect of the said election pending the hearing and determination of the motion on notice in the suit. This followed an application by motion ex parte brought to it by the All Progressives Grand Alliance APGA, one Mr. Kelechi Soribe, a member of the Imo State Working Committee of APGA, and 5 others against Senator Ararume, INEC, and the All Progressives Congress. Meanwhile, the Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja has dismissed the degree certificate forgery suit instituted by the All Progressives Congress, APC, against the Edo State Governor, Mr. Godwin Obaseki. Presiding Judge Justice Stephen Adda dismissed the suit for lacking in merit and awarded 250,000 naira cost in favor of Governor Obaseki. Justice Stephen Adda held that the lower court was right in its findings and conclusion in the APC suit. He also upheld the testimony of the Deputy Registrar Legal, Mr. Abayomi Ajayi, who confirmed that Obaseki attended the University of Ibadan in 1976 and fulfilled the requirement for admission to study classical. Justice Ahmed Mohammed of the Federal High Court in Abuja had on January the 9th, 2021, dismissed the alleged certificate forgery suit against Governor Obaseki. Well, staying with the judiciary, the planned arraignment of a former governor of Imo State, Mr. Ikedi Hakim, has been stalled as the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation, AGF, told a Federal High Court in Abuja today that it has taken over the prosecution of Mr. Ohakim. The former governor is accused of threatening and harassing one Mrs. Chinyere Amuchinwa. The court had earlier slated Thursday for the former governor to be arraigned, but when the matter was called, a counsel from the office of the AGF, Badugu Sani, informed the court that the AGF had taken over the case. However, the counsel to the police opposed the decision by the office of the AGF on the grounds that the charges preferred against the former governor was prepared by the office of the IGP. The trial judge, Justice Taiwo, however, told the prosecutor from the office of the AGF that he had taken judicial notice of the letter, but that the counsel should file the letter formally before the court and deferred the arraignment of the former governor to May 6, 2021. Away from the courts, as part of activities to mark his 7 years in office, Governor Willie Obiano of Anambra State has led a delegation of Ohaneze Ndigbo leadership to inspect the ongoing Anambra International Cargo Airport at Umweri in Anambra East local government area. The governor, who later hosted the Pan-Igbo Socio-Cultural Organization at the Governor's Lodge in Onitsha, reeled out some developmental strides made under his watch in the state.
This is the long stretch of road from the Enugu-Onitsha Expressway, which leads to the Anambra International Cargo Airport, Umweri, in Anambra State East local government area, where massive construction is ongoing. Governor Willie Obiano is here with the national leadership of the Ohaneze Ndibo Group on inspection as part of activities to mark his administration's 7th year in office.
The wing of Boeing 747.
The State Commissioner for Work sheds light on the project.
This airport, the orientation is such that the plane can land from either side. Can land from 24, can land from 06. And we have the free zone or the RESA, runway end safety area, about 1 kilometer. Which means if there's any overshoot, you can equally control yourself.
The inspection team retires at the Governor's Lodge in Onitsha, where the group commends Governor Obiano for his commitment to developing the state.
What you have done is a great thing, and you will never regret it. I'm going to tell everybody about it. To be honest, among the things you have done, you will see in the next 15, 20 years that this is probably the greatest you have done. So congratulations.
These fantastic developments in Anambra, like we saw today, have been impressive, persistent, consistent, and highly commendable.
Governor Obiano delights in his administration's effort to drive positive change in the area of youth empowerment, security, and infrastructure.
Most of our youth are very gainfully employed through agriculture, through a very systematic support to, after training them, giving them seed money to be able to run, and they are doing well. So I'm very happy to stimulate this kind of economy under this kind of stress. 2 recessions, 2016, 2018, COVID recession, and what have you.
Gifts are presented to the governor from the Ohaneze Ndibo Group to show their admiration and appreciation for his good governance.
I'm very happy that Ohaneze came today.
Governor Willie Obiano seized the opportunity to appeal to aspiring governorship candidates to aspire with conscience and not see the race as a do-or-die affair.
When the news at 10 returns, Debt Management Office lists over 160 billion naira 7-year Islamic bond on the Nigerian Stock Exchange to help finance key economic road projects in the state. That's in business news. Do join us again.
Welcome back. The Imo State Police Command has arrested 3 persons allegedly involved in the kidnap of the Auxiliary Bishop of Owerri Catholic Archdiocese, Most Reverend Moses Chikwe, in December last year. Parading the suspects at the police headquarters in Owerri, the Imo State Public Relations Officer Orlando Ikoku said preliminary investigation reveals that the young men are indigents of Awara in Ohajegbema local government area of the state and were apprehended following thorough investigation by the anti-kidnapping team and quick intervention unit of the command. Mr. Ikoku said the suspects had demanded a ransom of 10 million naira from the church, but were forced to release the bishop from captivity 4 days after, following intense pressure from the force. The bishop was abducted alongside his driver in Owerri on December 27, 2020, but later regained freedom on January 1st, 2021. Lafarge PLC has announced winners in different categories in its national essay competition. It's not a winner takes it all. There are also consolation prizes in the contest. Lafarge hopes this will help students fulfill their dreams. The virtual national essay competition, according to Lafarge Africa PLC, is built on the recognition of depth and quality of Nigeria's human capital, with the goal of bridging the literacy gap in the country.
It's a moment of reward for these students from different public schools having participated in Lafarge Africa's National Essay Competition. The keenly contested competition is in 2 categories. The junior category for pupils aged 7 to 10 in public primary schools, and the intermediate category for pupils aged 11 to 14 in public junior secondary schools.
We had over 1,600 valid entries received from 36 states of the Federation. And it helped us to see the need and the importance of technology. So it was a wholly 100% virtual intervention, and we received all those entries online.
Lafarge Africa worked closely with Ovie Brume Foundation, PwC, State Universal Basic Education Board, and other key partners to deliver on this initiative.
Government nursery and primary school here in Lagos.
Then the moment they've all been waiting for, announcements of the winners.
Thank you, Lafarge Africa PLC. Thank you, Ovie Brume Foundation, for creating a platform like this for us. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Ewade Adebowale from Alakpere Primary School.
The first, second, and third overall winners each got 1.5 million naira, 1 million naira, and 750,000 naira. The money is a strategic investment in the pupils' educational growth.
To improve a family, a person, a nation, is to actually get them educated. So I think not only is Lafarge correct to be doing it, it is the right thing.
This event is part of our support and integration in the community. Education is one of the key pillars, and literacy is a starting point to create bright future for our new generation.
The Lafarge Africa says it will continue to engage students from across the country in activities that not only measure and enhance their ability to read and write, but also give them the opportunity to build the Nigeria of their dreams.
One of Africa's largest airlines, Air Peace, is maintaining its position as a pace setter in the nation's aviation industry as the company receives its second Embraer 195-E2 aircraft. The airline is the first in Africa to acquire the medium-range jet. Speaking at a ceremony to receive the aircraft, the chairman and chief executive officer of Air Peace, Mr. Alan Onyema, says the company has fully paid for 13 brand-new aircraft. He also appealed to Nigeria Customs Service to respect the waivers granted airline operators.
It's another moment of celebration as the management of Air Peace and their associates await the arrival of a new aircraft to boost its fleet. The chairman of Air Peace kickstarts the event as he speaks on the essence of acquiring brand new aircrafts.
We decided not to leave any stone unturned. We decided to go for the next wonder called Embraer E195-E2. It is the latest invention in the aviation world, commercial aviation. Air Peace decided, after meticulously studying the aircraft and studying all that the aircraft would present, we decided to key into it.
Amidst the celebration, the Air Peace boss appeals to the Nigeria Customs Service to support the vision of President Buhari in promoting indigenous businesses.
The customs should be made to obey the laws of this country. Or, in the next coming weeks, airlines might shut down. If not for the Minister of Aviation, last week all the airlines in Nigeria would have shut down.
Applauding the efforts of Air Peace, some directors expressed optimism that the new acquisition will improve the flying experience offered by the company.
Like every other country, Nigeria is also capable, and we have also joined the League of Developed Nations, where we are bringing in brand new equipment. It's something that Nigerians can also enjoy.
Most importantly, where we're going to benefit is on the maintenance program. The interval, the safety built into the aircraft is so tremendous.
The aircraft is then received in the traditional water salute. This is immediately followed by a tour of the aircraft and cutting of cake. Built on the strong E-Jet's heritage and designed by people with passion for innovation and attention to details, the E2 is the world's best performing fleet smart solution as Air Peace lives up to its motto of blazing the trail with brand new aircraft in Africa.
Ensuring that young people have adequate knowledge about a savings culture will help in building a better financial future. That's coming from a team of experts at an online engagement session organized by the Junior Achievement Nigeria. The executive director of JAN, Folusho Gbadamosi, says the organization is adding digital literacy to its numerous programs to assist persons plan for that future.
And why the first 1 million students is whether it's no small feat.
This is a stakeholders engagement for Junior Achievement Nigeria, and in the spirit of the times, it's holding online.
They coordinate with all the bank representatives.
The session attracts a panel drawn from the banking, insurance, and technology sectors, with the executive director of JAN taking the lead.
One huge thing that we focus on at Junior Achievement is really problem solving, right? At the end of the day. So for you to be an entrepreneur, you have to be able to solve problems. And that's why our company program is such an amazing program that everybody just loves so much, because what the youth do is that they actually solve problems. Now, solving problems is one thing. Using technology to solve the problems is another thing.
The focus of deliberations is financial literacy for young people, and experts present share their thoughts.
The Company of the Year program that we participate in, we do participate in a number of the other initiatives as well, teaching them that at a very early age, ensuring that within the structure of the company that they put together and how they structure themselves to have their CFO, to have their business plan, they're able to multiply wealth. Now, those are the sorts of outcomes that we want, and that's a particular program we're excited about.
So it's important that people are taught how to save very early in the day and how to save for retirement. I will always say that you start saving for retirement from the day you get a job. Don't think about retirement when you are 50 or 60. Start thinking about retirement when you are 25.
And for those who have passed through JAN boot camps where financial literacy and entrepreneurship is taught, there is a testimony of great success.
The core of the program was, here's how a company works. This is how it's structured. This is how you finance it. This is what you do with the money. This is how you account for it. And in learning through those steps, which have now become habit for me, I think we've backed about 45 companies in my current fund. I've probably advised and worked for, close to 100 companies at this point in my career.
JAN is part of Junior Achievement Worldwide, one of the world's oldest and largest non-profit economic education organization operating in 120 countries.
Time for business news. Here's Anne Mawodo.
Thank you, Amara. Hello and welcome to Business News. Let's begin with the Debt Management Office listing its third sovereign Sukuk bond on the Nigerian Stock Exchange and FMDQ Securities Exchange. A statement from the DMO says the 162.5 billion naira 7-year tenor debt instrument, which carries an 11.2% interest rate per annum, was oversubscribed by 446% to the tune of 669.1 billion naira. Proceeds of the Sukuk bond will be issued to finance 44 economic road projects across 6 geopolitical zones in the country. And so far, the debt office has raised a total of 362.5 billion naira in less than 3 years through Sukuk issuance for rehabilitation and construction of major roads across the country. The DMO commenced the issuance of sovereign Sukuk in September 2017 as one of the ways to bridge Nigeria's infrastructure gap and promote economic growth. And let's talk about oil prices have fallen for a 5th consecutive day as a surprise increase in U.S. crude inventories and a stronger dollar caused this increase. Brent crude dipped by 6.9% to settle at $63.28 a barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude fell by 7.12% to $60 a barrel as at 10 p.m. local time. On Wednesday, a report by the U.S. Energy Information showed that crude inventories rose by 2.4 million barrels last week. And this is coming just one day after the American Petroleum Institute estimated that there had been 1 million barrel decline. To the currencies market, the Naira, that's Nigeria's local currency, has closed slightly higher today. It rose by 0.02% to 409.67 against the US dollar as investors are at the exporters' forex window. The marginal increase on the local currency is coming despite a drop in dollar supply at the forex markets. Traders have attributed this, that's the Naira appreciation, to moderation in demand for dollars by end users. On the other hand, it remained flat at 485 against the dollar at the parallel market. About 109 billion naira, that's the amount gained by investors at the domestic stock markets today as the banking sector components helped the NSE's all-share index to reverse into green territory after the red column yesterday. Ekaite Afia has the details.
Thanks for joining us for the Stock Market Report. In a surprise move, the stock market made another quick rebound from the downturn recorded in midweek trading, following renewed interest by investors for bank stocks. And the bull is back again on the NSE, and it came charging with more than 0.5% increase of the overall performance of listed equities, with over 100 billion naira added to the market's total value. Now, remember, in the previous session, the banking sector was the major drag on the market. Well, this time around, the gains from GT Bank, Zenith Bank, UBA, and some Tier 2 lenders contributed largely to that rebound that we see today. It's also interesting to point out that GT Bank accounted for a majority of the value on the activity chart, which stands at 5.85 billion naira, while Unity Bank contributed more than 95% of the overall volume of shares traded today. Like we always mention, the equities market is dynamic and unpredictable. And as we approach the last trading day for the week, let's keep our expectations high for a more positive close. That's all for the Stock Market Report. I'm Ekaite Afia. Back to you.
And that's Business News Tonight. The rest of the news at 10 continues now with Amarachi. Thanks for watching. I'm Anne Nwawadu.
Banking so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thanks a lot. And European countries such as Germany, France and Spain have announced resumption of vaccinations with AstraZeneca as early as Friday, following announcement by the European Medicines Agency that the shot is safe and effective. The EMA investigated after 13 EU states suspended use of the vaccine over fears of a link to blood clots. It found the jab was not associated with a higher risk of clots. Here's Simon Pusey with more international news in Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Tanzania's Vice President Samia Suluhu Hassan is set to be sworn in as the new president after former leader John Magufuli died on Wednesday from heart complications. Mr. Magufuli had not been seen in public for more than 2 weeks, and rumours had been circulating about his health. It will make Samia Suluhu Hassan the first female president of Tanzania and the second president to come from the country's semi-autonomous islands of Zanzibar. She will serve the remainder of Mr. Magufuli's 5-year term, which he began last year. A sheriff's deputy in Georgia has been criticised for downplaying racism in mass shootings at a series of massage parlours in which 8 people died.
He does claim that it was not racially motivated.
Captain Jay Baker, the spokesman for the Cherokee County Sheriff's Office, has also faced ridicule for saying it was a really bad day for the suspect. 21-year-old Robert Aaron Long has admitted the killings in which 6 Asian women died in what appear to be targeted attacks. Projections in the Netherlands show Prime Minister Mark Rutte's party has won the most seats in parliamentary elections. Victory hands Mr. Rutte a mandate to form a new coalition government led by his centre-right WD party, with a 4th term as Prime Minister. His last government resigned in January over a child welfare fraud scandal. Mr. Rutte conceded that not everything has gone well in the last 10 years, but said the main challenge was to rebuild the country after the pandemic. Italy has marked a national day of remembrance and mourning to honour the more than 100,000 people who have died in the country over the past 13 months from the coronavirus.
tutti voi mi sentiste vicino.
Prime Minister Mario Draghi led the tribute to victims of the pandemic in the northern city of Bergamo, which was the epicenter of the initial outbreak of the disease in Europe and one of the first outside mainland China. Mr. Draghi placed a wreath at the town cemetery and stood for a minute with his head bowed. Flags outside Italian institutions flew at half-mast on Thursday to honour the victims of the pandemic. Protesters have freed 4 police officers from behind bars in Haiti's capital Port-au-Prince as demonstrators over a botched police raid on a gang stronghold roiled the city for a 5th day. A deepening economic and political crisis in Haiti has led to a surge in kidnappings and murders as gangs have gained power, turning over increasing areas of the capital and other cities into no-go areas. Members of the Phantom 509 group, who describe themselves as disaffected police officers and ex-officers, told local media they believed their colleagues had been unjustly detained in a Port-au-Prince police station. A young climate activist has boarded a ship for the first time to carry out an underwater protest as part of Greta Thunberg's Friday for Futures movement. Sharma Sanduya is taking part in the first underwater climate strike in the West Indian Ocean in a bid to draw attention to the danger of global warming and rising seas. The seagrass meadow in the area has become a priority for conservation because of its key role in absorbing carbon dioxide. The world is losing some 7% of its seagrass cover per year due to rising ocean temperatures. And finally, the only woman who is currently active in Russia's cosmonaut corps now has her own one-of-a-kind Barbie doll. Anna Kikana, who became a cosmonaut in 2012, is among the latest role models chosen for Mattel's You Can Be Whoever You Want campaign, which is aimed at inspiring young girls to pursue the profession of their choosing. The first Barbie astronaut outfit, the 1965 Barbie Miss Astronaut, was said to be inspired by cosmonaut Valentina Tereshkova, becoming the world's first woman to fly into space 2 years earlier. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.
Thanks a lot, Simon. Ayotunde Balogun standing by with sports news.
Many thanks, Marachi. The All England club has announced that Wimbledon's famous queue will not operate at this year's championships because of COVID-19 measures. The queue, which has become part of Wimbledon tradition, with fans lining up from the early hours and even camping overnight to purchase tickets for the show courts and grounds, will be abandoned for this year's tournament in favour of online sales. The All England club says players who wish to participate at the championships this year must stay at the official hotels to minimise risk and curb the spread of the virus. In the UEFA Europa League, Arsenal FC have survived the scare from Olympiacos to reach the quarter-finals 3-2 on aggregate. Tottenham Hotspur, however, crashed out of the competition as a sublime hat-trick from Mislav Orsic completed a remarkable second-leg turnaround for Dinamo Zagreb. Roma also progressed as a 2-1 victory over Shakhtar Donetsk in Kiev wrapped up a 5-1 win on aggregate. Ajax Amsterdam, Villarreal, Granada and Manchester United all advanced to the last 8. In the Professional Football League, Ikena Ofo scored twice as Nasarawa United go top of the table with an emphatic 3-0 victory over Dakada FC at the Lafia Township Stadium. Rangers International slipped to 4th spot after suffering a 2-0 defeat at Katsina United, who moved out of the relegation zone. And Plateau United cruised to a 3-1 victory over Sunshine Stars at the New Jos Stadium. And Enyimba FC have announced that players and officials of their youth team have been involved in a road accident. According to the two-time African champions, the accident occurred on their way to Imo State for a tournament. The club added that some of the players and staff members injured are currently receiving medical attention. Now, the Handball Federation of Nigeria, the HFN, have asked teams to complete their registrations for the upcoming National Under-18 and 21 Championship on Monday, March the 22nd. The Secretary General of the Federation, Haruna Mohammed, says any club who failed to meet the deadline risk not participating in the competition. Mohammed adds that the announcement is for the Federation to make adequate preparation and arrangement for the championship. And that's a wrap on sports news. I'm Ayotunde Balogun. Back to you, Marachi.
Thanks, Ayotunde. And the main news again. The Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, today accused state governments of not giving the federal government the necessary support to tackle crime across the country. The IGP made the disclosure at an event in Abuja. He was, however, confronted by representatives of state governments who told the police chief that there is a trust deficit between the people, the police, and the government. Nigeria's healthcare sector today received a major boost with the launch of an $890 million grant for the next 3 years to tackle HIV, malaria, and tuberculosis. President Muhammadu Buhari, who presided over the launch, directed the Minister of Health to ensure effective utilization. And the European Medicines Agency today said the AstraZeneca vaccine is safe and efficient after 13 European countries suspended the vaccines over fears of blood clots. That is the news at 10 tonight. Thanks for watching. I'm Amarachi Ubani. Good night.